Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss the fundamentals of mass spectrometry. Okay. Fundamental aspects of mass spectrometry. See, first and foremost thing is you get a very good doubt in most of the textbooks. The mass is termed as mass spectroscopy, and some textbooks it is termed as mass spectrometry. So don't get confused. The first term is most appropriate and accurate, and the second term cannot be used in the terms of mass. Why? In general, any mass techniques follow a pattern. That means you are bombarding with some electron or chemical, whatever it is. We will see in the next forthcoming lectures. But exactly in any spectroscopic techniques, there is interaction of electromagnetic radiation with sample. The sample either will excite or emit or absorb, whatever. In such cases, we can call it as a spectroscopic techniques. Whereas in mass, we are not interacting our sample with electromagnetic radiation, despite we are interacting with some either with electron or with methane gas or any other technique. Thereby we are measuring the mass to charge ratio. This is the fundamental information we are going to get, and we are measuring something, not we are not analyzing something. So in such cases, we should always use the term spectrometry. Metry means measurements, gravimetry. We are measuring in terms of grams or some quantitative pattern. Whereas in mass, we will also identify in terms of quantitative measurements. That's why in mass, you should always term it as spectrometry than spectroscopy. Now let us see some schematic representation of any spectroscopic instrument. Any mass spectrometric instrument, how it looks. See, for mass, once you enter your liquid sample, this is your liquid sample entering into the analysis. Now you heat it, convert the liquid into vapor. Now the vaporized sample is bombarded with an electron or a methane gas. Now to convert the neutral into a, see, in mass what we are doing, we are converting the neutral molecules into an radical cations, and these cations are analyzed based upon their mass to charge ratio. This is the fundamental. Now what I am doing here, I am introducing the liquid sample, I am heating it so that the liquid sample gets vaporized. Once vaporized, there are several techniques to characterize the mass of that sample. Suppose there are some electrospray ionization, chemical ionization, matrix assisted laser desorption ionization, time of flight mass spectrometers. So there are several quadruple mass spectrometer. So there are several techniques for ionization of your sample. So this is the fundamental information. I am introducing my liquid sample. I am giving some heat or temperature. Now the liquid sample is vaporized. Once it is vaporized, I will interact my fast moving electron with my sample, thereby converting into converting the neutral molecule into a radical cation. So now this is in the beginning series, and once the radical cation enters into the instrument, you have a zone where both electric field and magnetic field work together. So this is the field where this is a B1 is the magnetic field component, and whereas E1 is your electric field component. So what happens whenever the positive charge tries to move forward, it encounters two fields. One is the magnetic field, the another one is the electric field. So now in the earlier lectures, what I have told you that the propagation of wave So in the propagation of wave, what we encounter here is the electric field component and the magnetic field components are perpendicular to each other. This is the fundamental information which I have told you in the last class. So the electric field and the magnetic field components are moving perpendicular to each other. So now here is my particle. So now my particle encounters. So this is my electric field component. Now the magnetic field component is pointing towards the page, towards you. That means the electric field component is moving this way and the magnetic field component is moving this direction. So what happens? So the propagation of electric component and magnetic component will be nullified, and this is called as no movement zone. And later on you have a first zone called as repeller plates. Repeller plates, however, the molecule is positive charged. So now if you place a positive charge species, so like here in the charge technique, the like charge dislikes the like charge. So what happens? Same charge repel each other. This is called repeller plates, followed by accelerator plates. This is your accelerator plate. So now the accelerator contains negative charge. So what happens? So the like charge, positive and positive repel each other, and positive and negative attract each other, so that there is a propagation of cation or what do you say? There is the propagation of either the positive charged cation or radical in motion. Now once the molecule moves from this zone, it encounters only magnetic field component in this. So this magnetic field component is measured as B2. Okay. So now initially what I am doing, I am introducing my liquid sample. Once my liquid sample is entered, I am giving heat. So now my liquid sample is undergoing vaporization. Now there are several techniques to characterize in mass, such as electrospray ionization, chemical ionization, matrix assault assisted laser desorption ionization, time of flight mass spectrometer, and quadruple analyzer. So there are there are several other techniques also. So now what I am doing, now the vaporized sample is bombarded with an electron. So now what happens? This electron will remove one more electron from my sample. So and by converting the neutral molecule into a positive charge carbocation or a free radical. Now what happens? This positive charge first will be encountered by two fields, that is a magnetic field as well as electric field, and the zone which is encountered by both magnetic and electric field is called as no movement zone. Why it is no movement zone, I will derive and I will tell you later on. Once it moves forward, because of the repeller plates, because of the opposite charge attracts and the likely charge repel. So now the positive component will be repelled by the positive charge, so it will move forward, and it accelerator plates, that means the positive charge will be attracted towards the negative components. That's why there is a propagation of carbocation and free radical in the molecule. So now why there is a no motion when the carbocation or free radical is exerted by both electric and magnetic field. So what I told you, there is a component called as which component? Both electric field component is also exerting on the molecule, as well as magnetic field component is also exerting on the molecule. Now that's why there is a no movement. Now let us see. Carbocation or free radical is exerted by two fields. One is electric field and another one is magnetic field. That's why this is a static in motion. Static means there is no movement. So now the force exerted on the carbocation by electric field component is termed as Q into E. Now E is a direction, because have vector quantity, electric property, is equal to This Q means charge. That is a positive charge on the molecule, and it have exerted by the force exerted by the electric field. Now the force exerted by the magnetic field component is derived in a fashion is explained as charge into velocity of the particle and B1. This is also again vector quantity. However, these two vector quantities are in perpendicular or right angles to each other. So now both charges gets cancelled. Now E vector quantity is equal to V into B bar, and V is equal to E bar by B bar. This is a fundamental information which you get from the. So now what happens? V, the velocity of the particle is static in the initial zone because it is equally nullified by both electric component and magnetic component. This is the fundamental information you get from the initial stage. Whereas this zone is called as what? This zone is called as the radial path moved by the sample is analyzed by the analyzer. This path is quantified by, this is called as a moving zone. So now once the particle is moving in this zone, the force exert here you have only one field, which is magnetic field, that is B2. Whereas here you have both electric and magnetic field. This also you should understand. Now force exerted on the sample, on the carbocation or a radical is given as mass into acceleration. This is a Newton's second law. This is mass into acceleration. Now that is quantified by the magnetic field exerted on the molecule. What type of magnetic is exerted? Magnetic field is again quantified as Q, charge in the particle, V, velocity of the particle, and B2. B2 is the again the magnetic field component exerted on the propeller zone. So this is the fundamental information. Now this A is acceleration is the fundamentally, this is called centripetal acceleration. This is a moving in circular path. So go back to your 12th standard chemistry or physics, where you see the circular motion in which the acceleration is termed as v square by r. So now A is equal to v square by r. So now m into v square by r. R means radius. R is the radius of the. This is the radius of the path moved by the particle. Now m into v square by r is equal to q into v into b2. Now what happens? V square and v gets cancelled. mv by r is equal to q into v into b2. Now v is equal to v is equal to q r v b2 by m, or again you can term as m is equal to qr. So again this quantity is cancelled, sorry, so I should not write this. So mv by r is equal to q into b2. Clear? Now v is equal to q b2 into r by m. Clear? Now m is equal to qr into b2 by v. Now what is v? In the earlier derivation, v is equal to the way static field explains, v is equal to E by b1. So this is the static field. So now apply this v here. So now m is equal to q into r into b2 divided by E1 into B1. So now what? The mass to charge. Now Q, if you take this M by Q, the mass to charge of any particle is identified by the radius of its motion. This is the fundamental information which you get from the any mass spectroscopy technique. So once again I will make you clear regarding this topic. So in the initial stage, the carbocation is excited by only the by both magnetic and electric field. So that's why this is static in motion. Further it is excited by the positive and negative charge. So one is called repeller plates, one is accelerated plates. Further it is excited only the magnetic field. The magnetic field vector moves the particle based upon their M by Z ratio. So heavier the particle, deflection is little and there is a detector fast. Smaller the particle, deflection is larger and they reach the detector slowly. This is the fundamental information based upon, and the M by Z of any particle depends upon the what? A radius of its path. So now let us discuss some fundamental aspects of mass spectroscopy, mass spectrometry. So if you take a molecule AB, you bombard with some electron which contains 70 electron volt. So this is the limiting energy. 70 electron volt is the limiting energy. That means this does not only obstruct the electron but is also sufficient to fragmentation. Suppose if you give less than 70, so in mass spectrometry this is of two types: soft fragmentation and hard fragmentation. What do you mean by soft? Soft means there is no fragmentation in the molecule, except this will only extract one electron and convert it into a carbocation or a positive charge species, which can be analyzed. Such type is called as a soft fragmentation. Whereas hard fragmentation, electron is also removed and further fragmentation is also done. Such type of is called as hard fragmentation. Now what happens? Now this is your electron will, so one electron will go and remove one electron from here. So this is called 2 electron minus. So now what you will get? Positive charge and this one. This is the fundamental information. So now 70 electron volts or 1600 kilocalories or 6700 kilojoules of energy is bombarded on the molecule, which remove one more electron from the molecule. So once the electron is removed, what is the mass of this one? So electron is having 0.00085 AMU. This is very negligible. So the mass is same as the mass of the molecule. So there is no difference in mass once even if you remove one electron from this. So you are bombarding with one electron with high energy, that is removing one more electron from the molecule. So 2 electrons are coming out and creating a carbocation radical. Now you are not bothered whether your positive charge is generated on A or positive charge is generated on B. Now there are two types of fragmentation. This is your fragmentation pattern. So one is your positive charge is on A plus your electron is on B, or your positive charge will be on B and free radical will be on your A. So this is the fundamental and rearrangement process, and always in mass you can see a peculiar pattern of rearrangement of mass. Okay, because of some technique of rearrangement you can see various fragments. Okay, now coming to the mass, how you will analyze the data. So in mass spectrometry, so your y-axis will be your abundance 0 to 100. In the x-axis gives you x-axis you plot m by z value starting from 0 to some mass, some value, say 1000 m by z. So what happens in the mass? Whatever the this abundance exactly it is not 100%, it is an arbitrary value. Suppose if I have several fragments, I have one fragment of largest intensity. So that fragment is called as, is termed as 100. That means I have several fragments. Out of all the fragments, one fragment is having largest intensity. So I will term this as a 100%. So this is called as my base peak. So base peak means the peak corresponding to the largest intensity in the overall spectrum is called as base peak. Whereas m by z means this is the mass to charge ratio, which is exactly the mass of the sample which I am introducing into the mass spectrometer. These are the two different. And further, there is fragmentation of your molecule. So this is the fundamental scale of your mass spectrogram. So now before going to mass spectral analysis, what exactly we are going to do to the in characterization? First thing is you have to know two formulas. One is index of hydrogen deficiency. Index of hydrogen deficiency. First thing. Second one is your nitrogen group. So these two parameters will help you in characterization of your mass spectrum. First one we will see index of hydrogen deficiency. What do you understand by index of hydrogen deficiency? So suppose you have a molecule like this. Suppose if you add two hydrogens, okay, what will happen? So now it will undergo saturation. So now this will give me so always remember that one bond is equal to two electrons or 2H. This is the fundamental information which I am getting from the formulas. So first thing is whatever the molecular formula of your compound is there, you need to convert that molecular formula into a saturated one. Let us see how it works. Let me discuss something like this. First one is you need to identify the index of hydrogen deficiency. Let us see what is the 1, 2, 3, 4. C4. This is my H. So how many H I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C4, H5 and N. This is my molecular formula. Now for this molecular formula I need to identify the index of hydrogen deficiency. First and foremost thing is what are the parameters you should convert the formula, molecular formula into a straight chain aliphatic formula. First thing, how you will do? You will just add CnH2n plus 2 formula and you convert this. Second one is correct the heteroatoms, which we are going to do right now. Second one is difference in hydrogens. You should calculate difference in hydrogen. Now the difference in hydrogens divided by 2 will give you index of hydrogen deficiency. This is the fundamental information. Let us see. C4H5N. Now I'll convert into a straight chain formula. C4H8 2 into 4 8 plus 2. So that gives me C4H10. So now what is the difference? Now whenever you have correction of heteroatoms, if you have ORS, do not change any formula of your molecular formula. If you have NRP, add 1. If you have fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, subtract 1. So this is the fundamental information of correction of heteroatoms. Now what I am doing? Now I got C4H10. Now I have one heteroatom nitrogen. As already said to you, if you have a heteroatom of nitrogen or phosphorus, you should add one hydrogen to that. So my formula will be C4H11. So this is the now difference in hydrogens. What is the difference in hydrogens? Now I have 5 here, I have 11. So 11 minus 5. What is the difference? The overall difference is 6. Now 6 divided by 2. I said difference in hydrogens divided by 2 gives you index of hydrogen deficiency. 6 divided by 2, that gives you 3. So now my index of hydrogen deficiency is 3. What 3 tells me? 3 means there are 2 double bonds and 1 ring. This is the fundamental information which I get from this one. Let us calculate the same thing for benzene. Let us calculate the index of hydrogen deficiency for benzene. Now what is the formula for benzene? C6H6. So now I should convert it to a straight chain. So now how I will do? C6H2 into 6 plus 2. That means C6H12 plus 2. That gives C6H14. How much I got? H14. Now what is the difference between 14 and 6? This is 8. Now difference in hydrogens is 8. Now if I divide it by 2, I will get the value of 4. So if the index of hydrogen deficiency is 4 or more than 4, now that is your aromatic compounds. This is the fundamental information which you gain from the index of hydrogen deficiency. So what is the benefit of doing this index of hydrogen deficiency? When you are characterizing your formula, molecular formula, you can say, see this molecule will have these many double bonds, these many rings. So that will be helpful in characterization of your mass spectrum or mass graph. Now next one is nitrogen rule. What exactly the nitrogen rule tells you? If a molecule contains 0 or even number of nitrogens, that means either the molecule is lacking nitrogen or it contains even number of nitrogens, always your M by Z will be even. Or if your molecule contains odd number of nitrogens, the M by Z will be always odd. This is the fundamental information. Suppose if you see any M by Z value in a odd number, suppose 357, 353, 323, what does it indicate? It is an odd number. That means always when it is odd, it may have one nitrogen. If it is even, that indicates that it may have no nitrogen or even number of nitrogen. This is the fundamental information which you get from the any mass spectrum. Now let us see pattern recognition. in molecules. So when you put something in your mass, it will fragment. Now you have an option of comparing your fragments into a library search. So what this library search will tell you, just if the spectrum matches with the molecules available in the library, so it will tell you. So this may be an aldehyde, this may be a ketone, this may be an ester, it may be an acid, it may be this compound. So this is the pattern recognition formula of library search. Now let us see what happens in various different molecules. So what exactly is happening here is fragmentation pattern recognition in molecules. So what type of molecules we will see? We will see alkenes, aromatic compounds, substituted aromatics, alcohols, aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acids, esters, substituted halogens are haloalkanes. We will see all these pattern in your current lecture. Now what if you take alkenes? So this is a straight chain alkene. So always the fragmentation is in the center of the molecule and the fragmentation follow a particular pattern. Always remember that so this is the secondary allylic, secondary benzylic, primary allylic, primary benzylic. So what happens, always a more stable carbocation is preferred in the fragmentation pattern. Suppose the tertiary fragmentation is more formed than secondary fragmentation. So always the more stable cation. Now if you see, secondary allylic cation forms more preferably than primary allylic or primary benzylic. So secondary benzylic will form more predominantly fragmentation than primary. So this is a general chemistry where the most stable carbocation is always preferred in either in any reaction. That's why the most stable carbocation is preferentially found in any mass spectrum. So this is a pattern. Now if you go for alkenes, suppose if you have an alkene, CH2 double bond, CH2 and CH3. So what type of fragmentation if you expect? So now electron will go and bombard and this will convert into an, what do you say, carbocation or free radical, and thereby giving 2 electrons. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and okay. Now always alkenes fragmentation will be of most stable carbocation is formed in alkenes. This is a fundamental information you should know. Now let's see some fragmentation pattern in alkynes. Now similarly in alkynes, so always I am showing the electron impact which I am doing in my mass spectroscopic instrument, thereby removing one more electron in the molecule and converting into a carbocation or a free radical. So that means a lack of one electron. So So now the fragmentation will be always favored in a CH triple bond CH. So the alkyl fragmentation will be there. This is your free radical. This is a fundamental information which you get in the fragmentation of your alkynes. Suppose if you have a long chain, let us see some fragmentation like this: C, 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 CH3, 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 CH2, CH2, CH2. So in aliphatic compounds, always there is M minus 14 because of carbon, and so methyl molecule is lost. This type of fragments are very often observed, and always there is a fragmentation to yield more stable carbocation. So this is a tertiary carbocation. So this fragment is more preferred in fragmentation. Now let us see in this is a substituted aromatics. So what happens? Also there is a formation of tropylium 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Okay. Tropylium cation. So the M by Z is around 91. So again this is a because of resonance and rearrangement. So further it will undergo fragmentation into C5H5 plus CH double bond CH2. This is the fragmentation pattern which you observe in your substituted aromatics. So toluene M. So this is your M by Z because of 91. Further it is fragmentation to C5H1. So now if you see C6H6 plus 1, C6H7, C5, 6 and 7. So everything is matched. This is the fragmentation pattern in aromatic compounds. Now alcohols. So always remember that whenever you have an alcohol in your molecule, suppose let us see one alcohol. I have an alcohol like this. Always there is a loss of water molecule. So M minus 18. So this is in any spectra, if you observe loss of an 18 from its molecular weight, such type of molecules are always alcohols. So this is a fundamental information. Now if you have a substituted alcohol, now what happens in a substituted alcohol? See, let us see. R. So this is a molecule. You have substitution, and now always you know that alcohol is lost, and further there is a loss of alkyl group which is attached to the carbon which is having alcohol. So suppose if you have an alkyl groups R4 and R5. So always the bulkier alkyl group will lose. Suppose R5 is bulkier, this will go as minus R5, and further the molecule will rearrange in this fashion. C, R, double bond C, R and OH. So this is the pattern you observe in alcohols. So what happens in alcohols? There is a loss of water molecule, which I have seen this OH and H will go, that is M minus 18, and loss of alkyl group from the carbon which is bearing the alcohol, and that which alkyl group will go, the bulkier alkyl group, and the rest will undergo rearrangement. These are the type of pattern you observe in what? Alcohols. Now let us see what happens in aldehydes, ketones, amines, esters and carboxylic acids. So this is your either in aldehyde or in ketone or in carboxylic acids or in esters. You observe a cleavage called as alpha cleavage. What is alpha cleavage? This is carbonyl carbon. So either if you cleave from this way, this is also an alpha cleavage, or even if you cleave from this way, this is also an alpha cleavage. So this is the alpha 1 and alpha 2. So this is the pattern of cleavage. So now if you go for phenols, what happens in phenols? Phenols show peculiar pattern of M-28, that is because of M-OH, or M-29 because of loss of. This is because of C double bond O, M-28, or M-29 because of CHO. This is the fundamental ingredient when you see molecule that they are having phenols. Now if you are having aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acid esters, always you have a pattern of alpha cleavage. First draw your molecule, cleave it from the alpha, and further you have a pattern of rearrangement called as McLaughlin rearrangement. So what is McLaughlin rearrangement? I will tell you. So, in a branched compounds, whether it is an carbonyl compound, whether it is an aldehyde, whether it is a ketone, whether it is a carboxylic acid, containing long chain molecules, you observe it called as McLaughlin rearrangement. What happens? This is your alpha carbon, this is your beta, and this is your gamma. So always there is a movement of what? Electron pair from one molecule to another. Suppose this molecule is bombarded with an electron which is of 70 electron volt. Now what happens? If you observe this 2, 4, 6 and 8. Okay. Oxygen is having two lone pair of electrons. Now once I am bombarded with electron, what is happening? There is a loss of one electron, and this is becoming a free radical, and I will get a positive charge. Now I will go out with two electrons. So one electron is coming and it is taking one electron from this. This is a. So what happens? There is a movement of electrons. So always remember that if you have a fish arrow, there is movement of only one electron. If you have a complete arrow, that is having movement of two electrons. Now what happens here? Already you lost one electron and you require only one more electron. So what happens? This molecule will move toward this with a one electron. So what happens in the next coming? You see C. Now it will become OH. Now earlier what are there? Everything is common. CH2, CH2, and again this one which is this will become carbanium. So now you have a positive charge on OH 1 2 or whatever it is there 2 4 6 and 8. Okay, this. So now what is happening here? There is a movement of hydrogen, sorry H, not hydrogen, is H from this front with one electron. Why? Earlier the one electron was removed by the electron impact. So the other electron, now we need one more. So that one, this will move with one electron and forms a bond, and you have a what? Carbanium is formed on this carbon. Now further you can observe, if you move with in this direction, what you will get? You will get CH2 double bond CH2. This is always neutral because it is fully. Now suppose if you expect that this will go in this direction, now what happens? See, double bond OH, okay, CH2 double bond CH2 plus, now whatever this you have, CH2 and CH2, this will become your carbocation, and this one will be your neutral molecule. So this is the fundamental difference. What is the rearrangement? Here the electron is moving toward this, have a stable alkane, whereas here the electron is moving toward this, that's why you have a what? Carbocation is on this one. So this is the movement of this one, is a Markov for the rearrangement. Now if you see, I have given one table on your right side column. So that is the fundamental pattern of most of the molecules. So if you observe such kind of pattern in your fragmentation, so you expect that you may have those molecules, sorry, and one more thing is, I forgot to tell you regarding isotopic peaks. So always remember that carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and sulfur, this will give M+1 peak, whereas chlorine, bromine will give you M+2 peaks, and also sulfur, whereas iodine will give only M peaks, M minus 126. So if you have an iodine molecule, you will get direct one peak for 126. That indicates that you have iodine in your molecule. Whereas if you get M+1 peak, that means M by Z, whatever the M by Z value, to get +1 value, so either it may contain carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and sulfur. And if you get M+2 peaks, so that is chlorine, bromine and sulfur. So always chlorine 35 and chlorine 37, the abundancy will be 75:25. So always the peaks are 1:3 ratio, 1:3. So then when you observe M and M+2 peaks in 1:3 ratio, you can simply say that it contains what? Halogen, that is chlorine. And similarly, if you have bromine, so you have M and M+2 peaks almost all 50:50. So that is equal proportional, M and M+2. So again you can say that it is a bromine. So this is the fundamental information you obtain from the what? Mass spectrometer. So if you have alcohols, aldehydes, and now let us see some peculiar pattern of rearrangements. Now you have a R and R. Okay, this is your molecule. Now if you have two types of fragmentation, so let us see what happens in this. Now this is moving with completely with its electron. So R positive plus R. Suppose if it is moving with, if R is moving with only one electron, so now what happens? R dot plus R. So always, so there will be a moment either with complete two electrons or with one electron. So you have to identify what is the root cause which is making a complete transfer of two electrons is a complete transfer of one electron, and you have to identify the carbocation which is more stable, and carbanion also in similar fashion. Whereas in alkynes, the propargyl cation is more favored. Suppose this is a pattern of analysis. Suppose if you have alkyl groups, this pattern is observed. If you have alkyl amines, this pattern is observed. If you have aliphatic alcohols, this pattern is observed. So this pattern will help you. If you have aldehydes or ketones, this pattern. If you have acids and esters, you have this one. If you have alkyl chlorides. Suppose if I am speaking about halogen, now you can see 49 and 51. That means what? M plus 2p. 63 and 65, M plus 2p. 77 and 79, M plus 2p. So this is a pattern which you can identify. So let us see amines. CH3, CH2, NH2. And one more fundamental information you need to observe, that as we already studied in UV spectroscopy, sigma 2 sigma star requires more energy than N2 sigma star, than pi 2 pi star, than N2 pi star. That means this transition requires higher energy and this transition requires lower energy. Now once my 70 electron volts of electron is bombarding, which electron is easily lost? Always the electron onto the non-bonding atoms are removed first. This is the fundamental information, correlation between ultraviolet spectroscopy and mass spectrometry. So now what happens? This electron will be lost and you can get a carbocation and a positive charge. So this will be your M by Z value. So now what happens? Always in amines, the fragmentation is onto the beta to the amine. So this is amine and this carbon is your alpha carbon and this carbon is your beta carbon. Different. Always now you will get a fragment of CH2 double bond NH2. This is your carbocation, and CH3 you get a carbanion. So this is the fragmentation pattern in what? Amines. And if you have an thiosubstituted molecules, suppose SH, C, and so on. So always you get M minus 34. So this is the fundamental information you get from your molecule, and further fragmentation is normal. Suppose if you have carboxylic acid, and you can easily observe M minus 45 because of this. And again you have McLaughlin rearrangement, which I already explained. In aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acid and esters, you have McLaughlin rearrangement. So let us see some peculiar pattern of rearrangement in substituted aromatics. So this is your Now what is happening here in this H? So the H is moving its complete electrons. So now I said already, when you are moving 2 electrons, it can be shown here. Now this will be completely moving towards this, and this will be completely moving towards this. So always, whatever you get, the molecule will be like this. Now where from you get this positive and charge dot? That means this molecule is bombarded with one electron which is having 70 electron volt. Now if you see this one, there is always migration with half electron. It is fishy arrow, and this one is also migrating with its half electron. So half electron will go towards this, and half electron will go towards this, and half will move towards this. So what will happen in this? In this molecule, you get a pattern of double bond Y and double bond C, double bond O, and whatever you get as HX. This is what which is eliminating, and this is called which. This is the rearrangement which you are getting. So these are the fundamental and peculiar patterns of rearrangements in alkenes, alcohols, aldehydes, carboxylic acid, amines. So, and I prefer you to read Mollison and Boyd. Okay. Next one is your Practical Organic Chemistry by Vogels. And further, if you have any doubts, you can ping me on. And if you like my videos, please subscribe them, like them, and share among your friends. Thank you.